Hello my castaways. Today I'm revealing my most closely held secret, the key to my any % speedruns, the quite controversial speedwalking glitch that propels your character at several times the max speed of the game. It's so OP, it's even faster than moving in God mode while sprinting, the absolute fastest you can move without exploiting the game in some way. Now the reason I'm divulging this info is because it seemingly is the end of an era. As I've feared for some time now, the speedwalking glitch has been patched out of the main game. However, don't despair, you can still play around with it to your heart's content, and I'll show you exactly how. Before we get into it, an obligatory request to hit that like button, or even better, that subscribe button if you haven't already. I want to be very clear about the fact that I did not discover speedwalking. That honor goes to my friendly nemesis, Agork, the only other person who was good enough to compete with me for the speedrun world record. He discovered speedwalking while trying to find a workaround to a broken W key, and after its first appearance in one of his speedruns, he graciously let me in on the secret. My hat is off to you, Agork. Stranded Deep speedruns would not be what they are today without your discovery. You're a true legend, my guy. I've had a few people ask me why we call this glitch speedrunning, and despite the general idea that we do that to avoid confusion between this glitch and the term speedrunning, that's actually not the reason. This shit looks downright goofy from the outside perspective, and because the game was never intended to work this way, there are no character animations for moving that fast. If we pop into third person view, you'll see that when using this glitch, it looks like one of those speedwalking dudes, which I find downright hilarious. That bit of trivia aside, let's check out how it works. The first thing you'll need to utilize this glitch is a mouse with a freewheeling function. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's just one of those scroll wheels that continues scrolling for a few seconds after you hit it, so you can scroll down a long page or document without the scroll incrementation stopping the view abruptly, among many other applications. I use the Logitech G903, which is an $80 to $100 mouse, but is absolutely perfect for it. However, the somewhat cheaper Logitech G503 and other freewheeling mouse models will work, but not all of them. I don't know what bit or bob of the hardware makes it work or not, but most freewheeling mice will work fine, with most of the non-working models being older varieties. So the next thing you'll need to do to exploit this glitch is to switch your version of the game to highly experimental mode. This can be done by going into Steam and right-clicking on Stranded Deep in your library and selecting the properties, and then going under betas and choosing the highly experimental option. Your game will need to update to the experimental version, which should happen pretty quickly with any decent connection. Now we'll head into the game and start adjusting the settings to get it fully operational. First, go into your settings, and under key controls, you'll see that there are secondary input settings for every control in the game, and this is the key to the glitch. We need to map our secondary forward input to the forward scroll wheel of your mouse, which is done by clicking on the empty control setting and then rolling your scroll wheel forward. For those of you that have more powerful setups and tend to run the game at higher settings, you'll likely be able to speedwalk as soon as you set up your scroll wheel for forward movement. Speedwalking, at least on my machine, seems to be drastically affected by the graphics settings of the game. To get the smoothest speedwalking possible, you'll need to set your draw distance to very far. It still works at all draw distances, but the further you set the draw distances, the less the game seems to struggle with lag going between different rendering zones. My best guess is that by setting the draw distance to very far, the game is able to sort of preload the world for you, which is important since you can go so fast at times that without this preloaded terrain, the game lags and either disrupts the effectiveness of the stacked inputs of the scroll wheel, or worse, your character will not be able to pass through the upcoming rendering barrier, and instead of shooting forward, you will fling yourself upward into space and take an ungodly amount of time to fall back down. I don't really notice any difference in performance of the speedwalking with changes to the terrain quality, volumetric cloud settings, reflections, or grass settings, but if you're playing on a setup with less processing power, it might help your FPS draw that happens no matter the settings you choose to lower some of these. Regardless, if your game seems to struggle, take out the grass and lower the water quality and volumetric clouds that you'll be whipping past at the speed of light anyways. Now, this alone will only let you go at super speeds and accidentally shoot up into the air at usually inopportune times. But if you've seen my speedruns, you've obviously seen my character fly up into the air, seemingly at will, and fly around the map, but that's not actually what's happening. If you pay attention, you'll notice that I only do this move when exiting the water, and I'm not flying around rather than making one really big jump. So if you go beneath the water while playing without the speedwalking glitch, and then press jump just as you reach the surface of the water, you'll actually jump just a bit of the way out of the water. This is actually a super useful technique for dodging sharks and bosses if you find yourself in the water with them and can get the timing down right. I'm not sure if this is an intended mechanic or not, and trust me, I've tried to get in touch with Beam Team to find out if it is, along with a handful of other questions I'd like to have answers to. Anyways, if you do this water jumping process while speedwalking, the stacked forward inputs that determine your speed get translated into height above the water, and you do what I call a swim jump. The timing of executing the jump at just the right time can be tricky, but the faster you're going, the further away from the water's surface you can activate the jump, and the higher you will go. If you continue to use the speedwalking glitch while in the air, you can still move forward as well, but you'll move at a significantly lower speed than while walking on the land. The game seems to register that your character is still just above the water like an unpowered swim jump, and so you can fall back to any surface without taking fall damage. Be careful though, because simply speedwalking off of a tall solid surface like a ship's mast or a cliff will still give you fall damage. Alright, that should be everything you need to know to run around Pacifica as fast as I do. I'm not quite sure what this means for Stranded Deep speedruns. Obviously, we can still utilize this glitch in experimental mode, which is functionally the same as the normal game branch in terms of damage, XP, and difficulty settings, but that may warrant some sort of category change on speedrun.com, and there's no telling if speedwalking will continue to work indefinitely on experimental mode. I have been on a break since my current world record, but as long as speedwalking continues to work in some form, I'll still be striving for that penultimate sub 20 minute speedrun time. At this moment though, it seems that the any percent speedrun times for the current game have been carved in stone, and I'm sitting right where I should be, at the top. Thank you for watching, have fun with the glitch, and of course, feel free to shoot me a message if you need any help setting it up or notice a change in how it works in experimental mode with any further updates. Like, subscribe, comment, and as always, keep on surviving.